This is
Okay.
the answer.
That's the answer. What's happening?
This is the
Oh
answer.
no! What is that?
It's
No.
too bad that I destroyed mine. Well,
You
technically
destroyed
it's
it.
right here.
Wait, would you blaspheme? Would you desecrate that? No, right?
Me? No. I don't have an issue with this. This is the book that I secretly read for spiritual and worship issues, but don't say that while we are live.
Yeah.
Oh crap! We're already live.
Oh, shit.
Have any of you actually looked at the Kama Sutra?
I have a pop-up version of the Kama Sutra that I found on the street.
You know, a lot of people celebrate that, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, none of it makes any sense. Like, there's no way you could do any of those things. I mean,
one of them has people scurrying on top of an elephant. And you're supposed to use the motions of the elephant walking.
Wait, actually, I changed my mind. That's just genius. I changed my mind. What do you think?
I don't need advice from the Kama Sutra. I can give advice to the Kama Sutra.
Now that's the right attitude. Okay.
That was the best answer.
It's set up perfectly. Oh my gosh.
By the way, guys, the reason why we're doing live streams with the Apostate Prophet is because we have to take advantage of the Meccan phase of his prophecy, because we could actually question him and disagree, right? Once we get to the Medini phase, if we have him here, he just has to give us the answer, and we're like, whatever you say, Apostate Prophet, and we can't ask questions, we can't do anything.
That's the protect your neck phase.
Yeah. Protect your neck and face. I actually have come today with big revelations about the topic, the meaning of life.
Oh my Lord.
Recently, last night, I was suddenly they woke me up at night. Something woke me up. I don't know what it was. A force woke me up and opened my chest and washed my heart. I have no idea why they did that. And then I was suddenly put on the back of a donkey that was very big and that flew me to heaven. And a lot of very strange things happened on my way there. I basically learned the meaning of life and all the answers to life and all of that stuff. So that happened last night. And yeah.
Are you protected from the sun with the cloud everywhere you go?
Yeah. I was traveling through space, but I could actually breathe because I was on the back of a flying donkey. And yeah.
And the thing they wash your heart in, that was like snow or like a white powder thing, I assume.
I don't know. I didn't pay attention to the color. It all happened very, very quickly.
Wouldn't it be the other way around for you? Wouldn't it be because you're the Apostate Prophet? Wouldn't, instead of angels showing up, wouldn't it be demons? And instead of washing your heart in like a white powdery snow, they would be washing your heart in.
No, the logic here is not that I'm. It's not that I'm an apostate in this case. It is that if I'm a prophet, so if I'm an apostate prophet, the prophet cancels out the apostate. So I am therefore a prophet again. That's how it works. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I see. The way it works is that like Muhammad was sent by Allah, and you're like sent by, I don't know, either Iblis or Dajjal. Which one?
I'm sent by myself.
You're sent by yourself. Wait, you're like Jesus.
He's sent by the Zionists.
Wait, you sent by yourself, so you're kind of like Jesus in that.
Yeah, kind of.
So you talk to yourself.
That's right.
Pray to yourself.
That's right. I do. You know what the funny thing is, though, to be very serious for a second. Recently I noticed when you look at the story of Muhammad telling people that he was woken up at night and his chest was open, his heart was washed because he was purified and knowledge and wisdom was given to him by washing his heart. Isn't that kind of strange? People actually used to think in that time and environment that the heart is responsible for thinking and for knowledge and stuff like that. And they literally, physically, explicitly take out his heart and wash that for knowledge and wisdom, although the heart has nothing to do with knowledge and wisdom at all. But that's what people thought back then, and that is, and you can find it directly in the Hadith.
Well, actually, a lot of people back then knew that that's BS. Like even back then, wiser people knew that the heart doesn't do anything other than pump blood. Like this is not like something that we know now, and people back then had no clue. Even back then, this was like
in Arabia, though, in Muhammad's environment, did they know?
Yeah, no. What I'm saying is that like it's not that Muhammad's Arabia is backwards in knowledge compared to us. It was also backwards in knowledge and understanding compared to even their time. Right?
Definitely. Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So, what happens? By the way, what's the meaning of life according to Islam? Before we answer that ourselves.
Well, the Quran says very clearly, it says that Allah created the humans and the jinns for no other purpose than to worship Allah. That's what the Quran says. I created the humans and the jinns only so that they worship me. And he created many of them, humans and jinns, for hellfire. So those who abide by the laws will eternally worship Allah, and those who don't will eternally burn. That's the entire purpose of life. After you die, you go to heaven. You have rivers of wine and eternal prostitutes and stuff like that, and you just worship Allah forever with that. That's the entire meaning of life: meaninglessness forever with prostitutes.
Would you do what Allah did if you were like, let's say, we go into a virtual world, right, and each one of us gets to be the god of our own virtual reality, right? And you get to create your own world, but you also get to create conscious, self-aware beings, right? Like your program, it's not just like NPCs in a computer game. When you create, male, female, or whatever in between, when you make them, these are actually conscious, self-aware, and they get to decide. You get to decide whether they know that they're part of this virtual reality. They could think like you create them, and they might not even know that there's other worlds out there that other players are making. And you could be God in here, like you could be the king of this world and the emperor of this world, and you have like millions of people that you create. If you, what would you do? Would you make them worship you?
No.
Would you give them happy lives? Would you make them struggle a little bit? Would you what would your position be? Would you just be an average person that just walks among them, or would you make them all? Would you make them all? No, never mind. Would you make them all would you make them do something that would get me a strike? If I finish that sentence,
I wouldn't. It's a very interesting question. It's a very nice thought project, actually. A very nice thing to think about. I don't know if I could create my own little beings, my own sensitive beings. Would I really make them sensitive? Hide myself entirely? Just send some weird messages and demand them to believe in me, or else, punish them forever or annihilate them, whatever it is. That is definitely not something that I would do. Most of us would probably not do that unless there is something seriously wrong with us. Definitely, but I don't know. I think I would have fun with them.
You would what?
I think I would have fun with them. I think I would have them enjoy stuff. I don't know if I would want to torture them. I don't know.
No, unless they want to. Unless they're into it.
Yeah, unless they like it. Yeah.
Yeah. You can make them so that they like it.
Yeah. Nice thought. Yeah.
No, we're getting a little insight into what Armin went through. That's what's happening here. You think we're joking? We're not joking.
Yeah, I probably would not make a single male character.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, and I would be like, yeah.
Male suck. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be dishonest with them. I would tell them, like, by the way, guys, I made all of this. I made you. I made this. Look, I can do stuff. You can't. I can. But don't worry. I'm not gonna. Everything is gonna be fine. I'm gonna make sure you're all happy.
I was thinking about it yesterday. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Yeah. Go ahead. What would you do?
No, I was thinking yesterday. With Islam and Christianity, we have this concept that you are supposed to believe in God in order to go to the good place, or otherwise you will go to the bad place. And the issue is that when you ask them, if our purpose is to believe, and if God wants us to believe, then why is belief not more obvious? Why is it not easier? Why is it not simpler to believe? Why is it such a mystery? Why are we playing a game? I think Muslims and Christians have very different responses to that answer. Have very different responses to that question. Muslims basically say that it is a test. If God made it obvious, then everyone would just believe, and there wouldn't be a purpose in the test, which is a very stupid answer, to be very honest. I don't know how Christians kind of try to explain that it is actually easy, while it is not. But I was thinking about this. They try to tell you that the signs of God are everywhere. You just have to see, and you just have to look. You just have to think and find and all that. Why can it not be more obvious? Why cannot a giant hand come down from the sky, or a giant figure appear in the sky and say, "Hey, I am God," or "Hey, I came in the name of God. You are supposed to believe and obey, and this and that. Please do so now." Why is not every generation told about this? Why do we have to read these books? It could be, if we have to believe, it could be so much more simple, so much more easier. So, and if I created beings, I would probably do that. I would probably show myself and be like, "Hey, here, I'm here. I want you to do this." That's it.
That's because you're so arrogant to think that God has to play by your rules and by your logic. You have been spoiled. You've been raised in a society where things are served to you, and you make demands off of authorities, and you want this, you want that. You ask for this, they give it to you. You complain. You leave 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews, and this is why, with that mindset, you think that you have to be in control. Whereas you don't understand, but if you were properly brought up in an Islamic way, like, this is why you're not even an ex-Muslim. You think you're an ex-Muslim, but you were never really Muslim. Because if you were truly a Muslim, you would understand that we are slaves to Allah, and you don't question these things. This is like beyond your understanding. And if you just understood your position, if you just weren't so arrogant enough to think that you could question God's logic, you would just know your place and know that there is a wisdom, there's a hikmah behind all of this.
You this rip on the absence of hikmah in you right now.
You saw that?
Did I?
How did I do? How did I do as a Muslim?
That was pretty good. I felt humiliated. I felt very. I started regretting everything right now.
I do Muslim better than most Muslims, though. To be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
You
I would
really missed out on a lucrative career as a Muslim apologist.
Like, yes, like Muslim Armin. The only Muslim that could be a challenge to my atheism is a Muslim version of myself.
Sometimes I think about it, and sometimes when I look at these Muslim apologists, the popular ones right now, I think if I was a Muslim apologist, I would be much better than many of these. But the thing is, then I think I would probably never be a Muslim apologist, therefore, because I would have to be honest with myself and, question further and further and further, and not just stop with these BS responses that they give. But the thing is, maybe people like you and me would also not become popular Muslim apologists, because we would become deviant. We would become unorthodox. We would be unorthodox reformist Muslim apologists, probably.
I would be a radical. Yeah, no, I was a radical. No, I would be like serious. I wouldn't be coming up with excuses for why the Quran means something else. I would this means exactly what it means. We have to do this. Like I would be going around and telling people that I would make my channel. My channel would be mostly directed to Muslims, not to atheists. These people already accepted Muhammad and Allah, and they're living lives that they're still going to make them end up in hell.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is reintroduce their religion to them, so they actually follow it. So I wouldn't bother with atheists. I would say like my return on my investment would be better if I focus on Muslims getting to actually live by Islam. That's what.
Do you think you would be a hardline Shia, or do you think you'd convert to Salafism?
I would be like neither. I would be like, these are sects. I'm above that. I'm just like directly focusing on the Quran and Allah. These are just human inventions.
You wouldn't be a Quranist.
No, not a Quranist, but I would be like, I would say like Shia Sunni is like a human invention, unlike Islam.
If you were a Shia, you would be terribly wrong. Shias are.
Yeah, Shias are wrong.
Yeah,
Shias are wrong. I would feel sympathy for Hussein without thinking that Muhammad. Without thinking like, Sunnis have more. It makes more sense, because like, how could all of this whole Imamite and all of this, there's no mention of it in the Quran. How could all of this be so important to religion?
Exactly.
Like Allah forgot to mention any of it.
Exactly.
Hussein is saying, Armin, don't lie. You would do Zanjir for me.
Yeah. No, seriously, I think Islam is very stupid. Islam is a bunch of bullshit, but Shiism is definitely much more bullshit than Sunni Islam is.
Right.
I have to say, I have to give Sunni Islam that. Shiism is definitely completely stupid. It's just, there's just so much wrong with it. There are just so many holes in the whole, in how we get to Shia Islam. Yeah, in the narrative of Shia Islam, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah.
But I still think like, when you read the story, I still think like Ali. Like, if I had to choose between Abu Bakr or Umar, like theologically, the Sunnis make more sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, less like, yeah. But when it comes to who would I sympathize with, if the narratives of if we accept the narratives of what the stories were like as canon, I would be like, yeah, screw Abu Bakr, Umar and Usman, screw those guys. I'm on the Ali and Hussein side. So story-wise,
I wouldn't.
I'm more sympathetic with Ali and Hussein, but theologically, I'm more in line with Sunnis have it right.
Yeah. I would say from among the four caliphs, I would say Ali can suck it right away.
Why?
I don't have any sympathy for that guy. I don't know. Actually, he seems like kind of an honest guy with himself and with Muhammad and all that. But we see in these reports that he was someone who would burn people alive and stuff like that.
Yeah, but which one? I mean, come on, they're all like.
I would sympathize. You know who? I would sympathize more with Abu Bakr. Definitely not Umar. I think Umar is just a hardline, hardcore guy. I wouldn't sympathize with Uthman. He's just very questionable. But with Abu Bakr, he just seems like this more humble guy.
Yeah, he lived a poor life.
Yeah.
Uthman was like the rich one that lived like life of luxury.
Yeah.
Took care of them. But if you were a Muslim, wouldn't you be a little bit uneasy about the fact that when Muhammad died, Ali was busy burying his body while Abu Bakr was busy thinking about succession and doing politics and doing it while Ali was not around?
No.
Like, it seemed like doesn't matter.
Because the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said said very nice things about Abu Bakr, and he let him lead the prayer and stuff like that. So I would believe that Abu Bakr should be more busy with uniting the ummah, while Ali should be busy with the whole other stuff.
And Abu Bakr is indirectly mentioned in the Quran, and Ali isn't.
Yeah.
Abu Bakr was the guy that with the spider, like when Muhammad.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
He was with him. Yeah.
He was with him. He was never mentioned by name in the Quran.
Yeah.
But he was there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what do you think the meaning of life is, Armin?
I think I get to decide that myself for myself. Depends on what you mean by meaning of life.
That is fantastic.
You mean my life or everyone's life?
Everyone's
Because
life or your life.
my life because if you say everyone's life, that doesn't make any sense. Because I think like that's something you give. That's something you decide, and my answer is different from your answer.
So
right?
you're saying there is no objective meaning to life.
Yeah, but that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree. I completely agree with that. There is no objective meaning to life.
That means that we get to create. I mean, wouldn't that be horrible if we all had the same? Like, I mean, the three of us are very different here, right? Imagine if we all had the same purpose and the same, that would be horrible. Like, it would be like it's like a kind of like an Orwellian situation where all like have to confront with the same purpose. Like, this is the goal, this is the meaning of life. Like, no, I pick something, Susanna picked something else, I used to pick something else. That's awesome.
The thing is, when people, when we are brought up with a religious belief, a religious point of view, a religious way of looking at life and at things, we tend to think about the notion that there is no meaning to life as something bad, as something depressing and bad. But that's not really the case. I think that the idea that there is no inherent meaning to life is actually much better. It actually makes life much better. I appreciate life. Yeah, it is liberating, because this is existentialism. Basically, what Nietzsche, for example, argued for is that when you depart from religion and God dies, that's like his big idea is that we have killed God. God is dead, and now we are left with ourselves, and we are left with the idea of nihilism, that there is absolutely no meaning to life. But what he thinks is that we shouldn't dwell in nihilism. We should now create our own meaning in life, and should try to aim for something that works, aim for greatness, aim for goodness. And that's that's existentialism. So you accept that there is no meaning to life, no inherent meaning to life, and then you make your own meaning to life, which is, I think, a fantastic idea.
I have a question. Does Islam have any sort of idea or conception or notion of the idea of vocation?
What do you mean?
So, like, in Catholicism, vocation is like God's calling for you. So, in what Armin was saying, like, oh, we all have wouldn't it be awful if we all have the same objective, like meaning for our lives? In Catholicism, it's a little bit different. It's not everyone is the same, although we are meant to, like, praise God's creation and serve him. But there are different ways in which we are all called to serve him. We all have different vocations. That could be as a lay person, that could be as a clergy member, that could be as a missionary, or it's in, the special way in which God has called us all to have certain roles in life. Like, God has called us to a particular craft, a particular trade, and through that trade is one of the ways in which we serve.
You have to be careful with that kind of language, I think, in Islam. If you say God has called this specific person to do something, if you get too, if you sound like you're suggesting, if you're suggesting that you're directly in communication with God or something, that's like getting close to, like, wait a minute, that's the only prophets can do that.
Here's a concise definition. The idea of vocation is central to the Christian belief that God has created each person with gifts and talents oriented towards specific purposes in a way of life.
I don't think there is a concept close to that in Islam, but in Islam it's just, it is something that you say that that Allah has. It is also mentioned in the Quran that Allah has given specific people different degrees. That this was decreed by Allah Himself. So as far as I understand, as far as I know, there is not a notion where people are given a specific role in life by Allah, but rather that people are given a specific degree in life when it comes to your status in society, and also that Allah chooses whom He guides and whom He misguides. that is all there is. But a similar concept to that, I think, does not really exist within Islam.
But in Islam, that guidance has to come in the form of God, like putting things in your way or taking things or introducing somebody in your life. It cannot ever be suggested that there's any form of communication happening, right? Like there's this whole language of God has called upon me to this. You can't, like, you should, like, it's not very, that kind of language is not very welcome in Islam. Like, if there is guidance, it's because, like, oh, you meet somebody that you're supposed to meet, or all of a sudden you see a book that you're supposed to see, or the TV starts where exactly the guy is saying. But it's not like God is like, oh, like, hey, Armin, I have called upon you to do this for me. Like, no, that you just did the worst thing in Islam. Like, one of the worst things in Islam. You just claim prophet. You just claim prophethood, and Muhammad is the seal of all prophets, right? So
because we have the Holy Spirit, so like.
Yeah,
that is how we would find our vocation.
That's what's weird to me.
With which we'd find that.
That's what was weird to me when I came from Islam. It was introduced more to Christianity, to see how in Christianity this idea that God is constantly communicating with you and working in you and with you, that is such a central notion within Christianity was so weird to me, because that's a very to Muslims that's a very absurd idea and a very unacceptable idea.
The only connection you have to divinity in Islam is through the Quran. I mean, you're supposed to. I mean, if you're a true Muslim, I'm not a Shia. I mean, but you know, that's.
Did you just talk for your Shias?
Yes, I did. But yeah, but that's actually, which is very interesting, because anything else is shirk, but technically the Quran is shirk as well, because the Quran is supposed to be divine, which basically challenges the idea of God as being the only divine being.
That was a huge debate in early Islamic history. Whether the Quran did coexist with Allah or was later created by Allah, because it doesn't make sense, you know, because the Quran says that the book exists together with him. The idea is kind of that Allah's word was spoken by him before the creation, and it coexisted with him since the beginning of creation. But then, did it coexist with him all the time, as long as Allah is around, or did it come into existence after him? And this was actually a huge matter of debate over which they, called each other, kafir and stuff like that.
And it's weird that the one that won, which is the Quran being the uncreated word of God, is the one that won is the concept that challenges Tawheed, because right now the understanding is that we have two divine entities. Allah is divine, the Quran is divine, so we have two divine entities in the world. So what happened to Tawheed?
Wait, no, there's a third challenge.
What?
Me.
Oh, shut up.
No, Ridwan. I have attracted a small but increasing number of Muslim men who seem to be sexually excited by me criticizing or insulting Islam. And I've had multiple believers tell me that they want to submit to me instead of Allah.
That's very surprising.
And I was like, brother, that's shirk. And they're like, yes. So I'm like, who needs Tawheed when you have Susanna? Like,
I want to respond to something. I don't know if you want to highlight this comment, but there is this Enderies made a comment directed at me. I think it's a very interesting question, especially related to the topic. It starts with, apostate prophet, what if the Islam is right? What would you do after that? Just imagine, like, if Islam was not true, we Muslims don't have to fear anything. We would simply die. Please answer me. This is actually a question that not only Muslims propose, but also Christians and also others. But this comes very often from Muslims, and I recently encountered this too, where I was told, well, if you are wrong, then if I am wrong, then nothing is going to happen to any of us. But if you are wrong, then you will be, you will suffer for eternity. And I thought, I always think when I see this challenge or this question, I think, what the hell, man? What kind of a thought is that? This is by definition hypocrisy. This is by definition hypocrisy, according to these religions. You don't really believe. What motivates you to believe is the idea that it could be wrong and I could burn. That is hypocrisy. It's cowardice. I have good reasons not to believe, because I am certain, I am for sure, I made sure that I am sure before I left. I am sure that that this religion is false, and that this God does not exist. That this religion has a false message. So I am not afraid of the consequences of this conviction. I will not burn. And I'm not afraid of that at all. But it looks like what you're suggesting is that that is a reason why I should believe, and that is a reason why you should believe. So you should call yourself a coward if that is a reason to believe for you. I mean, it's.
And also, it's absurd because, like, would not this divine source know that you're not doing it out of genuine belief? You're doing it because you've made just a calculation.
Yeah. If I was Allah,
that's not true faith.
It-
That's not true worship or submission.
If I was Allah,
be Tinder like the rest of us.
if I was Allah, and if I judged these people, if I judged me, who just says, okay, I can't believe and I don't believe, and judge this guy who says, well, I'm afraid and therefore I believe, I would probably think, hey, you, my guy, Enderis, you know, you don't really believe, you're just afraid, and that's not really genuine belief. I would rather prefer this guy who has concluded that this can't be true and he's not afraid.
I want to tell Enderis that I am God, and if he doesn't go and find Atheist Republic, 1,000 new subscribers, it's not that many, okay, just 1,000, but that he or she is specifically responsible for, then he will go to my hell. Okay, so so you might be, this might be true, it might not be true. If it's not true, okay, I mean, what do you have to lose? Okay, so just go ahead and go get me 1,000 subscribers. If I was telling you the truth, then you avoided going to hell. But if I was wrong, then you didn't lose that much. You just dedicated a little bit of your time to go find me subscribers, but that's not a big cost. But if I'm right, just, I know the chances are very low, but just in case I'm right, what if you don't do this? You're gonna burn for eternity. I know the odds are very low, but think about the cost that you have to pay if I just happen to be right. You will burn forever. So go get me 1,000 subscribers. All right.
Okay,
yes,
go do that.
Yes.
It is also,
It's easy.
and it's a weird idea. You have one life. You live this one life. All you know is that you are born. There are so many different beliefs and ideas that people live their lives, many of them seemingly for nothing, without much motivation. And you can do so much in this short life that you have. And what you decide to do is to throw that life away out of fear, because you think you might burn for eternity after you die, something that nobody has ever seen, something that nobody has ever proven, something that nobody will ever be able to prove. You throw your life away and do that. That's kind of pathetic, isn't it? And all that you aim for in that afterlife is to simply exist for eternity with no purpose, no goals, no desires, nothing at all, just to meaninglessly worship Allah.
But God could do anything. So he could make you worshiping him feel as good as a gazillion orgasm at the same time.
Why would I want that? I would rather want to live a good, meaningful life where I aim for something.
He could just make you want that. He's God. He could do everything.
But that would be very stupid, right? It doesn't really. If we want to argue with logic here, as this guy proposes, for example, that's I think that doesn't really make sense. It's just very stupid to live such an empty life. Then why didn't Why didn't Allah just create us that way?
If I could just make you what?
Why did Allah not just create us that way? Why do we have to go through this whole stupid story here?
You have to earn it. You have to earn it.
Why?
Oh.
Well, you're again being arrogant and questioning God. It's beyond your wisdom. You have your mind is like it's just basically restricted by this material, and there's not. Think about God's mind compared to you. Okay, can you explain to a cockroach why you do what you do, why you have a YouTube channel, and why you have an activism? That's exactly the same situation where God trying to explain to you why this is all hikmah is the same as you trying to explain to a cockroach why you do your activism.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. If I wanted to explain to a cockroach something, and I was aware that the cockroach is unable to understand me, then as the almighty guy that I am, I would make the cockroach able to be as smart as to be able to understand me, and then I would explain what I want to explain to the cockroach. I wouldn't just talk to the cockroach meaninglessly and explain that cockroach to understand me. If Allah wants me to know something, then He should create me in such a way that I am able to understand what He tells me, rather than leaving it up to chance and have millions of people.
Well, exactly. Like, why would you be made to be compelled to believe in something you cannot?
Wait, the reason for all of this is beyond your understanding as well.
It always is.
So I'm not feeling particularly compelled to believe in it. Wait, we got a super chat.
Yeah, we got a super chat
from Valentine. Gave us $10. Thank you, Valentine. What's up, everyone? Just curious, is everyone an atheist on the stream? I'm here from Apostate Prophets channel, by the way. Well, welcome.
Welcome to our stream. Thank you.
And the answer is yes.
I am an atheist. I'm the only real atheist here, the only true atheist.
No, only we are, because we're anti-theists.
Yes, only true atheists are anti-theists.
And you're on that soft shit.
You are misinterpreting and misrepresenting atheism. This is not true atheism. My atheism is true.
Wait. We have a celebrity here. We have Hara Sultan. Hara Sultan, the Pakistani mulhid. Everybody, if you speak Urdu, go subscribe to Pakistani mulhid. Or if you're an English speaker, go subscribe to Hara Sultan's channel if you want to learn about Islam and Pakistan and India and dinosaurs in particular. So Horace is saying, hey AP, glad to see you and glad your wife is back.
Hey Harris, thank you so much, man. Thank you, really. I appreciate it.
I do want to, but thank you. All of that. I do want to get back to one thing you said about when you were saying Nietzsche and like coming up with meaning of life and all. I do think like a lot of people, as the Hindus say, because they have an Abrahamic mindset, right? When they come out of religion and they're asking for like atheists for a meaning of life, what should they do? They're like looking for this pre-packaged answer. To be like, okay, now I'm not religious anymore, so give me meaning, give me purpose, give me something, like give me, what do I do now? Like, and like it doesn't work like that, right? And I think like because the religion made them lazy, like here are the answers, right? Instead of putting them in the path of discovery and give them the tools to figure out the most effective ways to achieve their goals, figure out the methodologies to detect what's real and what's not real. They're like, okay, give me the answer. Okay, I'm convinced. Islam doesn't have the answer. Christianity doesn't have the answer. Give me the answer. I'm like, no, here's the tools. Now go find it yourself, right? I think communicating this to people that that you are now responsible for analyzing things yourself, and these are the best toolkit to do it, is something that we need to do. What do you think?
I think it definitely is like that. I would say, I lived a very religious life. You did too. And as I view it right now, it's kind of like when you grow up with religion, when you are brought up with religion, you are indoctrinated with it, you are raised with it, you are given this medication, this drug from a young age, and that medication kind of teaches you. Not teaches you, that medication kind of helps you to live life in a certain way. And the problem with that is, the good thing with that is that you are medicated and sedated by that drug, and you go through life with that. And you could even argue that that is, enjoyable and good if you don't have a problem with it, if you don't question, if you don't care, and whatever it is. But if you stop believing at some point, if you just, raise the veil and realize that that the religion you believe in doesn't really make sense, and you stop believing in it, then you stop using that medication, you stop taking that medication, and now you have a problem, because all your life you were you took that medication which helped you to walk. You didn't learn to do things by yourself. You didn't learn any other way. And now you're supposed to go through life by yourself. This is why many people who leave religion have this phase where they feel empty and depressed inside. I had it too. After I left religion, I thought, what the hell, man? Everything is a lie. What am I supposed to do with my life now? When everything is horrible, what am I supposed to do? I was contemplating ending it all. And that's because, as you said, people expect when they are raised with religion, with these religions, that you are supposed to have this package that you are given and by which you live life. You don't learn how to live life by yourself. And now that you are outside of it, you are supposed to create your own path and create your own meaning. And that's where I love to go to Nietzsche, for example, who says that's what he basically describes, that society has advanced and has killed God. They had God and they were happy with God to a certain extent. Now they have killed God because they were not happy anymore and God didn't meet their expectations anymore. But now they have found themselves within this emptiness of nihilism. And now they need to create a new path toward the future and become something better, a better version of themselves. And that's what he argues. You can agree with his resolution or not. That's a different story. But he's basically describing the same thing. When you're outside of religion, you are now creating your own path. And to some people, it might sound very dark, undesirable, and depressing to argue that there is no inherent meaning to life, as religions tell us, and that you can create your own purpose. And some people might misinterpret this and say, well, if there is no inherent meaning to life, then that means that there is no inherent morality. Then I could just go outside and kill people and do whatever I want. But that's not really how it works. And that's a very absurd way to think. You want to live life, you want to function, you want to take something from society. People have learned to live together, to create and build functioning societies. If you were to go around and create chaos, your life just would be over very soon, or it would your life would result in chaos and suffering. And you don't want that. You don't want to cause that. You don't want to go through that. So you want to create something new, something good, something better for yourself and for others. And that's what we are basically trying to do right now.
Well, that was very powerful, unscripted. That was amazing. I loved it.
Thank you. I thought you weren't even listening. But
no, that was beautiful. I was enjoying every second of it.
Thank you.
Would you think that? Do you suggest that's an improvement? Like if you take religion. Is it usually or often or always an improvement if you take religion away and put people on this path that now they have to come up with these answers themselves individually for themselves? Is it always an improvement, or are there exceptions? What do you think?
I think there are downsides to it. I mean, you have to be very honest. There are always downsides to everything. There are always downsides to improvements. There are, we are creating completely free societies, and people are pulling it wherever they want. And some people do not really know how to live life by themselves, or find themselves in despair because they are stuck on this idea that they need to have an inherent purpose, and they can't really get a clue, and they can't really deal with that. And religion kind of gave people a certain sense of belonging and fulfillment, even if it was wrong, and even if they didn't feel very happy. But I would say overall, this development, departing from religion and creating our own purpose, our own meaning, is definitely by far much better than living with religion, because religion has become outdated. It doesn't meet our needs anymore. It doesn't agree with our morality, with our sense of morality anymore. Even most Christians don't agree with the with old Christian morality. Most Muslims don't agree with old Muslim morality anymore. Things have to change over time, and we are making that change by ourselves. We are forcing that change, reforming religions, creating secular societies, creating new ideas, and overall, it's definitely much better than before, with downsides.
We're reforming religious people, not the religions, but okay.
Religions too. I mean, they are. I would not want to reform Islam. I think that's
right.
Very useless. But people do it,
Yeah. So My understanding is, and you could tell me if I'm right or wrong, is that this whole problem, even the problems with people feeling hopeless or meaning, the lack of meaning, the lack of that, when you take that away from them, that's also because they had religion to begin with. Like, I don't think that would have been a problem. Like, this is, people are like, oh, we need religion because some people without religion, they feel like hopeless. Like, yeah, but this is invented. This is a problem that is introduced to us by religion. Like, I don't think they would feel like there was anything missing if religion wasn't even introduced to them to begin with. Like, what do you think?
I think religion was bound to be part of human history. I think
Right.
it was meant to. There would have been no other way possible. Religion was a necessity. It was a necessary part of human history. Humans have developed that to kind of manage society, to live together, to create these rules. It's kind of you see how in human history things develop. They had these tribalistic ideas, these mythological ideas. They later turned toward thinking and questioning more and forming organized religions or religions in a more organized way. Then people turned more and more toward philosophy and interpreting things on a philosophical basis. And now we are basically departing from religion and from traditional philosophy and just adopting universal laws that we live by. And so it was part of our history. But yeah, definitely, I don't know why I went into the whole thing, but definitely religion is responsible for that.
Yeah, no, but like, I know historically, I don't think we would be able to avoid religion. But like, for example, now, if you look at people who grew up without any religion, they don't feel that thing missing. Like, it's mainly the people who had religion and then lost religion, and they're like, oh my God, there's something missing here. But the people that grew up with no religion, they don't feel like that anything missing that much.
Yeah. I found myself often in a huge existential crisis, and I left, and I spent many years firmly believing in a specific thing. My whole life was built on that specific thing, on living Islam and living for Allah. When I departed from that, I experienced so many existential, crisis over the years, and I would imagine that somebody who doesn't grow up with that system, with such a religion, probably doesn't ever have that idea, because they just learn to live functionally. I agree with that. Yeah.
It's basically like, it's very similar to like going through withdrawals. Like, imagine if you're addicted to heroin, right? And now you're stopping it and you're feeling really bad. That doesn't mean the heroin is a cure. That doesn't mean you might have to suffer through this for a while so that you don't need the drug anymore. But that, just because you were at a better mindset, if you go back to heroin, that doesn't mean you should go back, right? If you didn't have the all this experience that you're having, if you were never a drug addict to begin with, you wouldn't feel all this crappy you wouldn't have this crappy experience without heroin if you didn't ever use heroin, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what I think Karl Marx had very stupid ideas, but there is the one idea that this one quote that people often quote out of context or misquote, where he basically said that religion is the opiate of the masses, of the people. And what he was basically describing there is that religion is like a medication, like a pain medication, a painkiller, and it helps people walk through life, and it makes people feel more warmth, more emotion, more love in a cold world, as he described. So he was actually describing religion as kind of a good thing, as kind of something helpful to society. But he was just saying that in the end, it is only a medication. Opium back then in his time was not was not considered a bad drug. It was considered a good drug to treat pain, for example. But he was just suggesting that the medication, the opium of religion, is not good, and it should be replaced with something better. That was his idea. But that's basically what he described too. Yeah. Religion is a sort of medication. If you grow up with it, then you are dependent on it. If you stop using it at some point, then you desire it. You have this big withdrawal, and you desire that to go through life. Yeah. Uh,
This comment is great. Why do you why do you have so much hate? The devil is inside you. Just open your eyes, please, before it's too late. Well, the devil.
I
don't
wish
know.
the devil was inside me. I don't know. I wish he was.
That sounds gay. Not
I was just thinking about it too.
not that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, the devil. I just, no insult to the devil, but please ask for consent before you come inside me.
I find the hate for the devil so bad. This is actually something that I thought about so often when I was a Muslim. Even when I was a religious Muslim, I kind of couldn't accept the idea that Satan, Shaitan in Islam, is this guy who is eternally condemned to be punished by Allah and that he cannot change. And I thought, what kind of a system is that? This is Allah planned that, or God planned that. This evil character, this Satan, to exist and to be wrong, to be the evil guy, and there is no possibility for him to ever be redeemed, to ever redeem himself. Isn't that kind of cruel? I felt this pity, this compassion for Satan himself when I was religious. I could never get over that.
Yeah, and he was like, even the Christian version of him seems like I feel sympathy. Like the dude came and like God said, like, hey, if you eat this apple, you'll die. And the devil was like, nah, you're gonna become like, if you eat it, you're gonna become like gods. It's like the fruit of knowledge. That's what you need. And they ate it and they didn't die, and they became like, look at what humans are doing with knowledge. They're becoming like gods. Who was telling you the truth? The devil freed the humans from enslavement to Yahweh.
I know he was the good guy. Yeah.
He was the first human. He was the first humanist, and he wasn't even human.
Yeah.
So he was like, he's so selfless that he was like, basically he sacrificed himself for our freedom.
But no, he did it because he was too arrogant. He was arrogant. That's why he did it. That's why he wanted to save us and liberate us from this tyranny. That's why he did that.
I mean, historically, he also comes from a sympathetic figure, from Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods
to give to the humans.
To give to humans.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, these two stories are very interesting because knowledge and technology, it's basically the relationship between science and technology, right? Because the apple representing knowledge could go hand in hand with science, and fire was humans' first technology, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, knowledge and technology represent humans take over nature, with nature representing God, humans becoming independent and dominating over nature, right? Mm-hmm. So through knowledge, which is the fruit of knowledge, and through technology, which was what Prometheus stole from the gods and gave to the humans, humans became the gods themselves and dominated over nature.
Yeah. That's pretty solid. I think we should advocate for peace between Allah and Satan, just to find a common ground.
We're working on a ceasefire.
Yeah.
Should we make that art? How do you represent Allah in a...
Isn't he described as having one shin and a weird foot?
It is so dumb. It's because certain organs of him or certain limbs of him are described. Some scholars are like, well, we only know of one, and that's why he probably has only one. And others are like, no, that's not how it works. Are you stupid? He probably has two.
He has 3 right hands or something.
It's so stupid. I don't know. It's Islamic theology is so dumb.
If we wanted to do a drawing of Allah, how would you do it with all your understanding of Islamic theology?
I don't know. To be very honest, I have no idea. I thought about that before, but I have no idea. I imagine this big bearded guy.
Is he actually very anthropomorphized in Islam?
Not at all.
Okay.
A little bit. I mean, he has hands and he has a throne.
Yeah, but it depends on who you ask. According to Sufis, for example, that I was kind of part of culturally, you are not supposed to make any descriptions or imaginations about his physical appearance or his physical characteristics at all. You're supposed to just imagine Allah as this force that exists within everything, that is everything. It's weird.
Your wife is here to yell at you.
You're so ableist, AP. Don't make fun of Allah's appearance.
Hello, Mrs. Apostate. We're glad you're here. We're so glad you're feeling better.
My wife. That's because at home sometimes I make fun of I use the word ableist in a humorous way.
Yeah.
Sometimes to just make fun of myself of something that I just said, and she's doing the same thing right now.
Oh, we just got a super chat from Joanna. She gave us $6.66.
666.
Yeah. If you're not subscribed to Atheist Republic, you're missing out. Follow AR on social media. Links in the description. Wow, what a sweetheart. Spending your money to promote our channel. I love it.
That is awesome.
But yes, you guys should subscribe. We get up to lots of fun here.
But you just made the symbol of Satan, and if you people represent Satan here, I cannot stay here any longer. This is simply evil. I do not stay on evil platforms with evil people who do evil things and say evil things.
Don't make me break out my Quran, AP. It's sitting on my floor.
Yeah,
it's looking
on your floor.
Yeah,
that is unacceptable.
I know, right? I do that on purpose too. Oh no, I think Armin froze.
Oh yeah, he froze.
I was like, he's being uncharacteristically still and quiet right now.
I know. I was just wondering. I thought, what the hell's going on?
Oh yeah, yep. His internet definitely just went out. So now I have you to myself.
Oh! Careful! I don't know.
This is a little bit of a. No, I guess it's related. So I know you're very interested in studying psychology. I studied psychology. I achieved honors in psychology. Okay.
Oh.
And I don't know. Like, I know you're going back to school. I don't know if that's something you're majoring in, but I know my understanding of psychology and cognitive science in general has like really informed my idea of what the meaning of life is.
Yeah.
Or how we go about making it. And I was wondering if that's the same for you. Wait, but before you answer, Fatima was saying, "Women rule. It's time to take over, Susanna." She put a face app, fat Armin as her icon.
Oh god, that is that.
That's her icon. But yeah. And Ghost Bunny is saying I switched my major to psychology. Yeah, I'm a huge psychology nerd, but I'm wondering if it's like informed your opinion on this.
Well, I'm very late in terms of studying. I missed out on it earlier in life. I made 2 attempts, went into linguistics, stopped that because I didn't see the point. Then recently I started going into, I picked up my education again, and I wanted to study religious studies, but then suddenly everything switched, and I thought, I don't want to study religious studies, I don't care that much. I would rather want to go into psychology, so I switched to that, and am studying now, and even at the beginnings, I mean, learning a little bit, especially about neuroscience, neuropsychology, learning about why humans act the way they act, and how much our brain, our neurons decide what we do throughout the day and how we end up, how much our neurotransmitters really, are a factor in deciding what we do throughout the day. It's so much about that really made me think completely differently about life, about judging others. It really, I have to be quite honest. Before that, I had become very impatient, and I was basically yelling at people, getting angry at people for the smallest, tiniest things, getting angry at people in traffic. And then when I learned more about psychology, I started understanding everybody and just being so, forgiving and, patient with everybody. And it also further distanced me from religion and from the idea that people have a purpose and that people would go to an eternal place of reward or suffering. And it did turn me into a completely different person in terms of meaning of life and my outlook on humanity and society and the world and all that. It definitely did that. It is a very valuable, a very wonderful, distinct path, psychology. I think it's and it is also so new. It's like people. This is a very new science that people are vastly ignorant of, and that we don't that we don't know very much about. We don't really understand the brain, and as far as we understand it, it is fascinating and revolutionary to insofar that it can fundamentally change the way we live life and we look at life.
Mhm.
And I value that so much. I think people should really learn more about psychology. I mean, there should be more an education directed towards society in general. People should know more about this stuff.
Oh, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it could be argued that like when I took all my courses, we would learn about the history of psychology, right? We always learned about how like basically philosophy was like our first attempt at psychology in a lot of
Mhm.
ways. Oh, wait, hold up, hold that thought. Hold that thought. Abdullah Samir is here. I'm not going to make a big deal because he doesn't like it. But hi, Abdullah. It's good to see you. Guys, also subscribe to Abdullah Samir's channel if you like an ex-Muslim who's like very friendly about things, because people don't always like Armin's approach. So if you like someone who's more mild-mannered and very kind, well, Armin's kind too, go check out Abdullah Samir. Or just check him out in general. He's very good.
Thanks, Abdullah. Thanks, Abdullah. I agree. Check out Abdullah Samir, although I think he's too soft and he's not as hard-hitting and brutal as I am. Just kidding. Thanks, Abdullah. I appreciate it.
Like you. And go Suha, one of our best mods, Saint Suha, is giving us the link to Apostate Prophet's channel. So go subscribe. I mean, I bet you think it's cute that like our little channel is like, oh, go subscribe to AP, but guys, go subscribe. Like, I literally don't know how I would go about like navigating life if I did not have my education in psychology and neuroscience. Like it's one of the most important tools in my toolbox.
Mhm.
And I think this is why, to a certain degree, I'm not as interested into getting into the nitty-gritty, real esoteric levels of philosophy, because oftentimes I find it runs extremely contrary to the science of what we understand about our brains currently, and I get very frustrated when I feel like certain aspects of certain moral philosophies do not take into account how we are just like these little creatures running around in the mud that at the end of the day need to meet our biopsychosocial needs. Like, our existence and our livelihoods is not really about being moral creatures.
Mhm.
It's about meeting these biopsychosocial needs. And so I get kind of frustrated or kind of easily bored with philosophical discussions that are purely oriented towards like just being the most moral beings, because that's not really what we're oriented towards anyways. I mean, I do think it's important. I think it's something we should strive for, but like, let's not kid ourselves that this is what we are. Yeah, like, well, obviously not by an intelligent design, but for lack of a better word, like created for,
Mhm.
And as soon as, have you studied any like cognitive psychology at all?
I like from the very beginning, I thought of all the branches, of all the approaches, I liked cognitive psychology the most.
Yeah.
And how it deals with things, and how the pioneers of cognitive psychology deal with problems, and how they explain the origins of certain abnormal states of psychology and all that. So not too deeply. I'm still kind of at the beginnings, but I like it, and I have studied it to a certain extent.
Yeah, it's so interesting because like as soon as you learn about all of the processes that go into our precognition, because there are so many things that happen in our brain it's called precognition, before like stimulus coming into our brain, and our brain is already making decisions about what to bring to our conscious attention about this new stimulus coming into this little machine right here. Like once you learn about all the things that go into your precognition, it's like, oh, we don't have free will. Like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, there's so much that is just, and it's so far beyond our understanding right now. It's so interesting. Like,
that's one of the things, one of the tough things that one of the tough realizations that I had when I went into studying psychology was that although there is so much struggle in life and so much surrounding philosophy and the meaning of life, most of the time we are kind of completely or mostly at the mercy of our nervous system and of our environment. There is really not much that we can that actually makes us very independent, and there is not much that we can credit ourselves for. And that was kind of a tough realization, but it is the truth. When it comes to philosophy, I sometimes say this nowadays after I learned more about philosophy and about psychology. As you said, it's like philosophy is kind of the old attempt to explain psychology. It is old psychology, and very often it is just a bunch of nonsense. Even very popular philosophy is often just a bunch of garbage that is simply used by people who didn't understand nature, who didn't understand humanity, who didn't understand themselves. It is their attempt to explain things in a pseudo-scientific or supernatural way. Many philosophers that we know in history base their ideas on the premise that everything was created, or everything is bound to an external force or internal force that is conscious, or or similar to conscious. And when they try to redirect humanity with that attitude, with that false premise, they go completely wrong, which is why so much of philosophy is just complete garbage from today's point of view. And that's why I like Nietzsche, for example, and that's why I like the more recent, the more romantic, existential, nihilist philosophers, because they depart from the whole idea that we are steered by this force, by this external higher being, this force, and that we are actually in a world that has no inherent meaning, that has no inherent brain or creator, and that we make our own path and our own meaning. That simply makes more sense based on today's understanding, the accurate understanding of science and human nature.
Wait, your wife is interjecting a comment, so we have to pause and acknowledge. If you believe in free will, you should observe an impulsive, hyperactive preschooler for an afternoon.
Oh yeah,
very true.
Yeah.
Ooh, which leads me to my next question. Well, I think when you randomly appeared on one of our Ask Us Anythings, you talked about like how being a parent has really changed your understanding of there being meaning in life. And yeah, what's that been like for you? And do you like to study like developmental psychology or moral development at all?
I kind of left that aspect. I'm postponing that. I know I have to go into studying development, childhood psychology, adolescent psychology, but I'm kind of giving more attention to abnormal psychology, to personality, and just kind of putting that off right now. But I have to go into that. But I kind of did study it to a certain extent, but this is actually related to a question that I received a lot recently, because my wife gave birth to a new child, to a wonderful, sweet boy, and
Daddy AP, daddy times two.
and some people then, especially religious people, ask me, so since you have now become a father, or a father again, and you have a new child, did this prompt something in you, or did you regain your faith in God? Did this change your opinion about things? And I'm like, if I want to if I want to answer that question, I want to say, on the contrary, A new child has pushed me even further away from the idea that we were created or that we have this inherent meaning or whatever it is. Uh, it has kind of focused. It has made me focus more on raising my child, on giving meaning to this little guy, this little being, this little human that depends on me, on us, on my wife and me. And you just see how naturally that baby is not really meant to go after some divine eternal meaning that people knew or saw 3,000, 2,000, 1,000 years ago. It's just you are no different from these bonobos and orangutans and all these animals that similarly go through life raising their own and trying to simply do what they are good at and what they think they must do throughout their life to survive and to flourish. I don't know, it's just I feel like I need to collect this much better to express this, but yeah, it has made me focus more on family, on raising this little being in a meaningful way, giving meaning, giving him meaning, teaching him meaning, helping him find meaning. And I know very well, this is one thing is I was raised in a very religious family where they tried their best all the time with so much discipline to raise me in a religious way, to raise me the way they wanted to raise me. And I often thought this is such a huge mistake. We want to create children, and we want our children to be exactly the way we want them to be. We want them to abide by a certain moral code, by a certain system. We want them to be our we want them to live our second life. We want them the way we want ourselves to be, but can't be. And that's just a giant mistake. No matter what I want to enforce on my little child, my child will not end up exactly the way that I want my child to be. And I am a prime example to exactly that. I went completely different ways from my own family. And all I can now do in raising my own child is to teach my own child how to live, to help my own child, to assist my own child in creating their own path and going their own way. But I will not have the power over deciding how and what they should be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's so meaningful. And you just look at this little being that you helped create.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess the perspective for you is different than it is for me because you were not raised with the idea of original sin. But I can't imagine, looking at this little precious thing that so much energy went to bringing in to breathing, right? And thinking this little creature, who I love so much, is already marked as a sinner.
Yeah.
And has to strive for the rest of their life to find salvation. I'm actually very jealous of people who are raised without the idea of original sin because it did a number on me.
I know. I find the idea of original sin kind of disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with Islam is we don't have the exact same concept of original sin. I'm saying we. What the hell?
Guys, confirmed.
Oh God! It's
jihadi confirmed.
After all these years, it still doesn't go away. I still find myself saying we or us when I speak of Muslims or Islam. It's weird. But for Muslims, the idea is basically what?
Your wife agrees. She agrees with me. You'd be exposed.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I admit it. I'm a secret Muslim. I have been doing all of this because I wanted to bring people closer to Islam by talking critically about Islam and lying about Islam. That's what I wanted to do. That's it. Okay, you got me.
That's so funny. Everyone's like, Takia exposed. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and then AP has done love jihad. Oh, and then we have an actual Hindu person saying Armin is surely a secret Muslim.
Oh, I received those things. Once a Muslim, always a Muslim, because I defended Armin Navabi.
Oh yeah, did they like accuse you of having like did the racism, well not racism, but just bigotry jump out when they accuse you of like your Muslim blood and you're just
Yeah.
yeah.
They said this phrase, once a Muslim, always a Muslim, and I thought, what the hell, man? Man, it's just disturbing.
Todd is saying revert prophet. No, okay, I am arguing that I am also an honorary ex-Muslim because we're all born Muslims, right?
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah.
This is actually something that I wanted to say. In Islam, we don't have I'm saying we again. In Islam, Muslims don't have the concept of original sin, but they have a different concept, which is that that before creation, there was a day where Allah gathered all the souls, which somehow it doesn't really make sense, that he created. Before creating them, he gathered them, and he talked to them and made an agreement with them, and told them that he will give them this burden of being created as people with free will, who are obligated to believe in Allah in order to go to heaven and be with him. And humans have made this agreement with Allah and said, and he asked them, am I not your Lord? And humans have said, yes, you are. And this is why all humans have this innate belief in Allah as the one God creator. And humans don't have the excuse to say, well, I didn't know better. So when a child is born as this soul that unbeknownst to him at the moment, in the past, made an agreement with Allah, and he is supposed to find the truth and believe in Allah and then go to Allah's paradise. And if he does not do that, then this child is one of those people whom Allah describes in the Quran as created simply for hellfire. So that's the idea. And I don't know, it's just a messed up thing to think. And,
you know how we like always get you in trouble when you come on this channel?
Yeah.
I think again, there are people taking you seriously. Hussein Hassan is saying, even Apostate Prophet admitted he lied about Islam. He's a secret Muslim. I'm showing this to my friends.
Well, I am. I'm a liar. No, I am a liar, and I always lie. I like lying. And one of my favorite things to lie about is Islam. So when I go online and I'm in the mood to talk about Islam, I just lie. I just lie from beginning to end. Sometimes I'm in a mood and I think, hey, I should go live today, and then I go live and I just lie completely about Islam.
Yeah, and it's not like a lot of the stuff you say can be like found in actual scripture.
No. It's all just me. It's all just lies. Yeah, it's my lies. Yeah, that's true.
Wait, where did it go? Hussein is saying, I'm sorry, Susanna, that's the evil Hussein.
Yeah.
Well, you probably have to go to your wife and family now, huh?
Oh, I will soon. Is Armin not coming back? Is his internet just completely
It just happens every now and then. It's actually a really good thing that I was here, because just have taken over our channel without anyone here.
Seriously, I would take over. I would declare that I am now the leader of the Atheist Republic.
Yeah. This is no longer a public. This is now a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And that is how you begin your Medini phase.
Absolutely. That would be my plan. I would do it immediately. I would take the opportunity.
Like, Murtad is already on it. We've arrived. Oh my gosh. Oh wait, we just got a super chat from Bishop Monten. Thank you, Bishop Monten. $5 saying, Apostate Prophet, is David Wood your personal janissary? I want one for Christmas.
I don't understand the idea. A janissary is in the Ottoman Empire, janissaries were soldiers. It was a special class of soldiers that were feared in Europe. They were very strong and very disciplined, a huge army. And those soldiers were original Christians that were kidnapped or taken as tags as children from Christian families, and then raised within the Ottoman Empire as Muslims, as the Muslim army and servants of the the elite army of the Ottoman Empire. So it was a giant force of Christians that were taken from their families as kids. This is what the Ottoman Empire did. So the idea is, I guess, that David Wood is also one of those Janissaries. I don't know what that is supposed to, what that is supposed to.
Go to war for you.
Yeah. But yeah,
he certainly stood by your side.
Yeah. I like David Wood. I consider him a friend. He's a good guy. And no, I definitely, I want one for Christmas.
Ukraine is saying Armin left to collect jizya for AR.
I wanted to say something about what you said earlier about how people, imposing religious ideas or trying to explain life and philosophy through religious means and through extraterrestrial or supernatural means. And it is funny, what you see when you study psychology is that people are naturally bound to be a certain way. People's personality, people's character, people's intelligence, and so many other things are determined by their genetics, and then determined by their very early years, on which humans have not much influence. So what you are left with when you are at an age where you can properly reason is a personality, a character that was formed when you were not really in charge, when you didn't really know right from wrong.
Is that what you meant by when you're saying like humans have no influence? Because I would say that humans have a lot of influence over their attachment style.
No, definitely, but humans are definitely in so much determined to be a certain way before they are born and in their early years, during childhood, when they're babies, during childhood, and so much. Yeah. So in that regard, I would say that humans are very much bound to be a certain way, and with that personality that you have, then you can make choices in the future as a reasonable human. But still, until that age, until that stage, you have become a person that you didn't really decide to become, that you didn't really decide to be. And especially your intelligence, for example, is very much dependent on your genetics and your upbringing. So then to kind of try to collect all humans and make them abide by a certain way of living, and make them have a certain discipline, expect them to exactly act and be a certain way. It's just it's just an empty struggle, and it doesn't work. It works with nobody. You see in every religious group, in every society, that people constantly struggle with themselves and constantly struggle to be a certain way without being able to be that way. In Muslim society, the Islamic religion is the strictest religion out there when it comes to how to live your life. You are constantly dictated to do certain things throughout the day and to abstain from certain things. But Muslims are not good with that. The vast majority of Muslims struggle with it. The vast majority of Christians, Hindus, everybody, they struggle with their own way of living, and they fail in life, but they repeatedly try to not fail. They repeatedly try to be the perfect, best way, the best version of themselves, but they can't be, because we are all naturally not meant to be, one type, one certain way. That will always fail. And we can only understand that when we really study psychology, which is gladly happening nowadays.
Yeah, it's so important. Hey, if you need help studying, especially for abnormal psych, hit me up. The teacher's assistant for abnormal psych and clinical and translational neuroscience.
That's awesome. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's so important to understand. Like, I literally wouldn't be able to understand myself too. Yeah. I mean, like, for a long time, I wanted to be a clinical psychologist. And I mean, that still would be really cool. I just don't know how likely that is, given I do this so publicly now. But it makes me a lot kinder towards people. I think it makes me kinder towards myself, although I'm way harder on myself than I could ever be, than anyone else could ever be towards me, right?
Mm-hmm.
The worst trolls. I'm like, you think you're worse than my intrusive thoughts? Oh, that's cute. Like,
I thought when I went into psychology, I thought I would like to just do research, independent research, or work for a certain institute and contribute to research, because I think that there's just not enough that there's just so much out there to learn, that humans need to learn, that psychology needs to learn, so much that that medicine needs to adopt from psychology and all that. I thought I would love to contribute to that, and I thought maybe I would like to teach at a university, for example. That was kind of my idea at the very beginning when I decided to switch to psychology. At the moment, I don't really know. I think I could at some point start focusing on the psychology of religion, which is something that I'm really interested in, that I really want to further study and write about and work on. I just don't know. I don't know what the future will bring. I want to respond to one thing here.
oh yeah.
Christopher Lister made a comment and said, AP, isn't the same true of atheists as well? Yes, it is. And that's the point. The same is true for everybody. And we are all just humans, all just beings that try to go through life and try to be a certain way. And we have expectations of each other, and we are all simply just these expectations to be perfect, to make society be a certain way, will always fail. They will never succeed, because humans are not just one type. Humans are so different, so diverse in the way they think and the way they act. You can't make all people abide by one certain belief system, or one certain meaning of life, or one certain way to live life. It just doesn't work. And we are ignorant, we are flawed, we are impulsive, very much bound to genetics and things that are out of our hand. That is true for all of us, not just for religious people. So this is a generalization of humans entirely, definitely. And I would never act like I have found the perfect meaning that everyone should live by, or that I have found the perfect answer, that I am a genius, that everything that I say is true. No, I would be the first to admit here that I am ignorant, like all of us, like humans, because we are all ignorant. We are all stupid in many ways, also very smart and good in many ways, and very creative, but also very stupid. We are very faulty, very impulsive, and we can't really control ourselves. We want to do so many things in life that we can't really do. I have so many goals that I can't achieve because I can simply not get my shit together. So, I'm aware of that.
We're waiting for that video series, AP.
We are all like that. It's just
Yeah.
it's just a one step to admit all of that. That we are this way, and that you can force people to act and believe a certain way.
Yeah, I think, it's not a belief system, but like I'm a pretty big fan of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Like that's one thing that I think is pretty good.
That's very basic, yeah.
There's things that I would adjust or update, but like I'm like, I think that's a pretty good universal guide. So that'd be like my only slight disagreement with you, but that's a different flavor, anyways.
I don't even disagree with that, but yeah, go ahead.
Varun gave us a $20 super chat. Holy cow, Varun. So we're contractually obligated to answer whatever is in this. Varun is saying, pagan Arabs had 360 idols and Muhammad reduced it to 1. That is considered a monotheism or monotheistic achievement, as if it made things better. Is it weird that now they don't like those who reduced it from 1 to 0? Why 0 envy? This is very interesting. This is funny. I mean, yeah, so this is, kind of, I think this is attributed to Dawkins, but he's to people who are Abrahamists or monotheists, saying like, you're atheistic towards every other god. I'm just atheists towards one more, right?
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I guess you're right. Like, I guess it's kind of sunnah to like just go about reducing gods. It's definitely sunnah to blaspheme against gods.
The thing is, it's kind of the logic and the history and development of that is slightly slightly less complicated, but also less uncomplicated. Muhammad didn't just get rid of these idols and reduce them to one. Muhammad based that whole idea on the idea that he didn't like his own society. His own society sucked to him. He was very fed up with his own society. He was looking for justice, which is a very common, way people act who are dissatisfied with life, with their own society. And he liked Jews and Christians. He liked how they lived. He liked how they were. He liked the stuff that they believed in. And he had this idea that he can influence people and revolutionize his own society and turn his own society into a society like the Christians and the Jews. Of course, he had the idea that he could then also. He was megalomaniac and thought he could also influence the Christians and Jews and also make them a part of his religion, also convince them to leave their religions and to follow his religion. And when he realized that they are not going to do that they are going to ridicule him and reject him, he became extremely aggressive and hostile toward them too. But basically the idea was basically that's the idea. He just didn't like his own religion, and he was pretty passionate about it, which is why he revolutionized it. And we are now simply like Muhammad. We just don't like our own tradition, our own system, and want to change it. We ex-Muslims are, each one of us, we ex-Muslims are just doing what Muhammad did to his own society. Yeah, we are changing the system. We don't like the system. We think it is stupid. We think it should change, and we are now wanting to get rid of that one Allah. That's true.
Sunnah. Get into
Sunnah.
it.
It is Sunnah. It is Sunnah. I'm following the Sunnah.
It. Oh my goodness. Wait, now find it and unhighlight. There we go. So,
Hussein Rahman said, is that actually true? Because Jews and Christians actually had equality for women and men, but Islam never adopted that. I wouldn't say that Jews and Christians had equality for women.
Like equality?
They definitely had a better approach toward women than Islam did, but not equality. Definitely not.
Yeah. Yeah, I would crack open that Bible again. Definitely not the case. So interesting. I know you have kind of a little bit of a soft spot for Christianity. Are there any other religions you have a soft spot for?
I love Christianity. I'm in love with Christianity. I love
Christianity. Confirmed.
No, I have to say that I like Christianity. It's kind of an obligation. It is. I have to say that every now and then so that I can keep the Christians happy who are secretly supporting me and funding me on my mission against Islam. This is
I don't think you do it so secretly. I read your comments. It's pretty open.
So that's why I'm doing that. No, the thing is, of course, I completely disagree with Christianity and with its foundation and its truth claims and its message. Where I sympathize with Christianity is simply that I see Christianity as a relatively very functional religion, a religion that works, a religion that built efficient societies. You could argue that in the Catholic history that didn't really look very good, but relatively compared to other religions, it creates a more functional societies. And I like the whole message of forgiveness and getting rid of those borders and sitting together with the disbelievers and the tax collectors and whatever that is. I mean, there are aspects that I like about Christianity. And are there other religions? I would say I used to think that Indian religions or Buddhism, for example, were good. But then when I studied religious studies a little bit further, I kind of realized that I don't really like those religions.
Mm-hmm.
And that I also think very differently from other atheists, because what makes a religion bad to me is not that the religion is hostile and violent and intolerant. What makes a religion bad to me is that the religion is extremely superstitious and very lazy, dysfunctional, and simply just, it's just inefficient, and it doesn't work. When I think about Indian religions, I just feel like they are not religions that are very efficient. They're not religions that really work for society.
Yeah, and when you mean work, you're talking about like furthering progress.
I think Hinduism, for example, is the epitome of
prosperity. Like, kind of
yeah.
define your terms on work for that.
I think Hinduism is like among religions. Hinduism is, I would carefully want to call it the epitome of apathy, of human apathy. It doesn't help make progress. It doesn't help build something better to go further. It glorifies the notion of basically, losing. Some people would disagree. I would have the Bhagavad Gita, for example. I have it right here. Teaches how you should be a useful part of society, and you should fulfill your duty in society, and that is a huge goal of your way of living. But if you look at how Hinduism is practiced in society and by religious people, by devout people in society, you see that there is this glorification of doing nothing and of being worthless and of being, of just living your life in apathy and stuff like that. Buddhism takes it even further.
Yeah.
And Buddhism kind of introduces this thing where you are supposed to just free yourself completely from good and bad, from all kinds of attachment, and just be like empty and be dumb, basically. And I just thought that is much worse to me than than intolerance or violence or all that, which is not. That is more destructive than intolerance and violence to me. I thought. I don't know. This is. I don't even want to immerse too much into this, but I found a liking for East Asian philosophies and religions, because I kind of liked how they approached life in a more functional way and a more nice, disciplined way and all that. I just thought they're not more about afterlife and living for something that is outside of you, or living for annihilation. They are more about living in society and creating a good society. Of course, they have this whole stuff going on with respecting your ancestors and all that nonsense, but I kind of liked the way those religions are structured. I don't know.
Our worship is so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Fatwa is giving me a hard time saying, "Susanna, trigger." Yeah. I mean, no, I find people who are never Christians, their opinion on Christianity like very interesting, because obviously, like, I'm very biased. Yeah, but I think the whole idea of like this apathy that you're kind of touching on, or like radical non-attachment, can be so dangerous, because it's like, why are we? And again, someone's going to come at me for my Abrahamic mindset, right? Because I think about this like a Catholic. So a good Catholic is like always denying ourselves like what we want, in almost at least in my experience of it, a very self-flagellating kind of way. And it left me like miserable, and I still catch myself like falling into those patterns like all the time, like just like not doing something that I could do to like take care of myself, because it's like, oh, I'm not even worthy of that,
Yeah.
Like, you're just in this like denial, and that perpetual act of like denial is supposed to be like character building, basically, or that like continual process. And it's so destructive, because like we ultimately, like, this is all we have.
Yeah.
Right. And people are, I mean, from a different cultural background, a different conception of it, right, are going about denying themselves like pleasures, the only shot we have at it, for a superstition. They'll be locked into it forever. It's really destructive. And I mean, again, my experience and knowledge of these things is very colored and biased because the work that I do through AR, I hear people all around the world, constantly coming to me with their very specific stories of how Eastern religions that are very romanticized and fetishized in America, they're like how abusive they are. Yeah. How it's much more conservative than people in my community like understand it to be. Very heavy on the traditionalism and
very tribalistic.
Very tribalistic, very locked into collectivism and being responsible for the way that people see your family because you're a bit deviant, like it's so. And I grew up in an interesting mix of certain levels of kind of a collectivistic mindset, except of course it's so different because American culture broadly is one of the most individualistic in the world. But I mean, even that flavor that I got from it was so difficult to get over. This idea of being responsible, like how for your honor of your entire tribe, basically.
Yeah.
It's so rough.
You know what's funny? I grew up in Germany, and that was kind of my understanding of Western culture. And when I compare Germany to America now, in America, people have this idea that America is like one of the freest countries and one of the most individualistic. And coming from Germany, I feel like Americans are not really that individualist compared to Germany, for example. Like in America, you have many collectivist ideas, many these patriotic, almost nationalistic ideas, which would be considered completely absurd and not likable in Germany, for example.
It's like so taboo. They're like, oh, yikes, I get a bad flavor in my mouth.
Yeah. You can't wave a flag in Germany. That's like, you don't do that.
I want to find, because there's a scale that I'm thinking of. There's a specific measure that people did. Countries ranked by individualism, because that's what I was referring to.
But freedom of speech, especially America, is, I think, unmatched in that, and I love that. I appreciate that so much about America.
Yeah, you actually changed my opinion on the FBI. Like you personally changed on the FBI. Yeah.
I did?
Yeah, because I used to be like full blown Antifa, and I went from being like, yeah, screw the feds, like abolish America, like black flag emoji, like ooh, like you really having an appreciation for the feds don't really like people who want to take away our freedoms. Like I'm down with that. Like
that's awesome. I appreciate that.
I went from being like the FBI is it, well, we don't say the word, we say terrorist. Okay, guys, if you're new here and you don't know what we're referring to, we have to use coded language for the YouTube gods. Okay, we're talking about people who do things like boom boom. Okay, so I went from, like the FBI is a terrorist organization to being like, here's some information on how to report this terrorist to the FBI.
That's a good change.
Yeah, it's a pretty good change.
No, I came to appreciate them very much. I mean, I had these the FBI, whenever I had an issue with these Islamist and Islamist sentiments, they were so helpful. And the last time I had these two FBI agents visit me, drive to me, visit me, sit down with me for an hour and just be so supportive and so encouraging. I just felt so safe. And when they left, I felt so emotional and so thankful to be here. I thought if I was in Germany right now, or if I was in the UK right now, the police would probably be like, well, you should just be careful and stop doing what you're doing and just don't provoke people and that stuff. And the FBI agents were sitting there and were saying, hey, we are not supposed to be partial about this stuff, but you fully have the right to do whatever you're doing, and you believe in what you're doing. You should continue what you're doing and don't let people deter you from what you're doing. We will make sure that you live safely. And I was like, man, thank you. Thank you.
Oh my gosh! Wait, I have to address numbnuts in the in the chat right now. Hussein is saying that he reported this channel because we called Muslims terrorists. I would like you to find the exact timestamp where I said that, because no one said that. You don't even know what group I was talking about specifically. I just said people who want to do those kinds of acts. Okay? There are a lot of people from other ideologies who want to do those acts. So I think, Hussein, you're telling on yourself.
Yeah.
You told on yourself. You exposed yourself. Okay? If that's what you thought I was talking about. Because I was talking about anyone. I'm talking about anyone who wants to take away my freedoms, okay?
Yeah. So Susanna was actually saying anyone who does that, and Hussein Hassan started to imply that all Muslims are like that. So yeah, Hussein Hassan, you should report yourself.
Projecting much. Okay, so for example, I was referring to you guys can look this up on clearlycultural.com. It's really interesting. So I was referring to, what is this called? The Geert Hofstede cultural dimensions. And there's lots, so if you study multicultural psychology, there's lots of different dimensions that cultures broadly are studied on. And yeah, America ranks at 91 out of 120 on individuality. So that's top out of individuality. And Germany ranks at 67.
What? Whoa.
So USA is number one.
USA.
Yeah. So I think we do have certain weird things about our culture here in the US. Like, I think we're still very we are still very puritanical in a lot of ways. Like, so I went to Germany when I was 17, and the sex culture in Germany had me clutching my pearls. I mean, granted, like, this is also because I come from a heavily Catholic background, right? But I remember walking through Munich, and I was going, or I went. So first, like, my first day in Germany, we went to a beer garden, right? And instead of going into the bathroom, and in America, you go into the bathroom and there's like coin slots where you can get like pads or tampons or maybe sometimes a condom. No, I went into just a beer garden bathroom in Germany, and it was like Plan B, like a dispenser for Plan B. I was like, what is happening? Walking through downtown Munich with my family, you know, me as a teenager, and there's just this huge store with the giant fluorescent neon lights that just is called Sex World, like all caps. It's like crazy sex store, and we all like are walking by this like we don't see anything.
Munich also has this thing. This is quite common in many German cities, but nude parks, for example, where you walk through the city and there's a park where people are just completely exposed and lay there and stuff like that. It's quite common. Nude beaches in the north exist very much. So that kind of stuff is very common over there. I remember hearing this one phrase from my teacher, which kind of gave me very early on in school in Germany an idea of the difference between America and Germany, of what Americans allow and Germans allow. And he said something like in Germany, when you turn on the TV, you see naked people. In America, when you turn on the TV, you see blood and violence. That's what he said. So that's kind of how it is. Like, Germans are quite intolerant when it comes to showing violence and blood on on TV or in games and stuff like that. I remember even having like video games, specific video game versions specially made for Germany that have robots instead of humans and like juice instead of blood and stuff like that. Whereas whereas Germans are so liberal when it comes to nudity. You just turn on the TV on a regular time and you see this program where people walk naked on an island and stuff like that. So yeah.
What was so interesting, and this just came to mind, I remember when I went to Germany, it was one of the first times that I had ever seen so much of a largely visible and concentrated Muslim population.
Mm-hmm.
Like in America, it doesn't feel as concentrated. And I remember walking through certain parts of Munich, like, I mean, this is again me as a teacher, guys, like, cut me some slack. Just like confused. I was literally like, is this Little Turkey?
Yeah.
Like, where am I? Like, it was very interesting to me. And I mean, you know, I travel. I haven't been able to travel for a long time, which is really frustrating. But like, I had never seen so many women in hijab like in one place at once. It was very interesting to me, and I think that was probably the first time I saw a niqabi too.
Uh-huh.
Germany. Yeah.
You have this thing in America. I think there are some studies on this. America has one of the least religious Muslim populations in the world.
Mm.
So the Muslims in America are often just distributed far away from each other, disconnected. Most Muslims report that they don't really hang out with other Muslims because they don't have many other Muslims around. They don't participate in many religious activities. They just become part of the population and associate more with people from different religions, with irreligious people or with Christians, for example. And that's simply not the case in Europe. In Europe, it's things are different. In Europe, you have in countries like Germany or France or the UK, you have many areas, many neighborhoods where Muslims are concentrated, and wherever you go, you find Muslims. In Berlin, for example, there's one part of Berlin, one district of Berlin, which is very central. You will find that it is almost completely that it is full of Turkish people. You hear Turkish everywhere. You can meanwhile not hear any German speech there anymore because everyone's speaking Turkish. You go to a different part of Berlin and everyone's speaking Arabic, and so many Muslims around, Muslims living there like it is a Muslim country. So yeah, stuff like that is very normal over there. It's probably also because it's so close. People quickly move to that country, go to visit their home countries every year or every other year or several times a year. So you have stuff like that going on in Europe. Americans don't really know what that looks like and what that tastes like. In America, it's like Muslims are much more divided. Yeah.
Insane. Armin is going to come back on the stream and be a Muslim again. Inshallah, please. Okay.
Yeah. We're waiting for the second coming of Armin.
Exactly. What do you think about the idea of like no-go zones? Like, because that's, they talk about like Birmingham in the UK is kind of that way, or certain areas of it specifically. And
do we really want to talk about that?
I mean, we don't have to if we don't want to, but I just think this is completely not the topic of this stream, but I was just thinking about it, like, based on what other things I've read and my experience or talking to other people who have been there, and they're like, no, it's not a no-go zone. Are you kidding me? Like, it's almost a bit of a fear-mongering thing. But, I mean, your opinion would probably be colored because you're a very public critic of Islam, so...
Yeah, well, I will just be honest about it. There is often much exaggeration associated with that whole notion that there are no-go zones, or that no-go zones are quite common. But in many places, in Germany, for example, there are no real zones where the police can't go through, or where they where nobody can go in and safely come out. There are
version of Chaz, the capital occupied zone.
Yeah, there are some places in Germany, for example, where the police is extra cautious, and where they kind of look out and fear for their safety, and where they, places that they don't want to be assigned to because they are known to be very criminal, very high in inhabitants of migrant backgrounds or direct immigrants. I think stuff like that is much more common in France compared to Germany, and much more common in Sweden, for example, compared to France. And I think in Sweden there are more places where you will find that there are entire neighborhoods almost exclusively occupied by or how do you say that word? Does occupied sound like I'm implying something bad? I don't know.
We have an interesting comment from Afshin.
Where almost only Muslims live, and where crime is extremely high, and where the police is very cautious. So there are maybe some places that are kind of close to what you would call a no-go zone, and some places that would directly be described as a no-go zone. Yeah.
Afshin is saying they exist, but they are exaggerated by media. I have lived in a no-go zone and had a bad experience. Afshin is an ex-Muslim. Was it because you were ex-Muslim, or was there other factors? But still, it's exaggerated.
Yeah, and I would agree with that.
Hussein is saying he's calling Muslims criminal. What the hell? Hussein, let's get those synapses firing, okay? Synapses firing. You are kidding yourself if you think that it's impossible that there might be some people who are Muslim who also do criminal activity. Just some that exist, like I didn't hear AP saying like that's all of them. That didn't come out of his mouth. He's just saying, like there are some. Yeah, because there are some. Like there are some Christians who are criminals. There are some atheists who are criminals. In every community, there's some criminal activity. Okay? So commentate way, okay?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What did you just say?
Iblis Akbar, yeah. So someone else just posted it and I just copy pasted it.
I love it. Oh my God.
Yeah. So the meaning of life, we haven't really talked that much about the meaning of life, but we kind of also have. But yeah, I guess that's all there is to it.
I mean, when you guys were talking about like nihilism earlier, I didn't really have much to say because you were just saying I would say, which is like, yeah, I guess I'm more of a existentialist. Like I don't think there is an objective meaning. I think we get to make it. Yeah, it's pretty simple to me.
The thing is, there's such a problem.
It's simple that it's like the most complicated thing we will undertake in our life is
Yeah.
deciding what's meaningful to us.
Yeah. I think that existentialism is one of the only few philosophical perspectives that survive the whole nonsense of the past and that actually makes sense.
Yeah.
That there is no inherent. Yeah.
Account for and explain like all our other attempts at making sense of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a divide between when you have nihilism, which is the idea that there is no meaning to life, that there is no inherent meaning to life. That then there are two approaches that you can get from that. One is existentialism, and the other is absurdism. And with existentialism, it's basically the idea is basically that there is no inherent meaning to life, and that we can now form our own meaning and do something good about life. While absurdism is, for example, the approach, I don't want to misidentify or describe it the wrong way, but the approach that since there is no meaning to life and no inherent meaning to life, we should just not care about it and should just embrace things as they come, as they are, as opposed to complete nihilism where you just don't care about the meaning of life and don't have a meaning of life anymore at all. And I feel like just this existential approach where you don't believe that there is an intrinsic meaning to life, but where you want to make something good of life, and define your own meaning in life is just the only reasonable approach that I can see. The problem with that is that many people, especially from religious backgrounds, kind of see a fault in that, and even non-religious people might see that that is kind of dangerous and bad, because they think, well, if there is no inherent meaning to life, then the meaning that you are creating for yourself is just a made-up meaning, and why would you want to abide by that? They would just want to be completely pessimistic about that. But again, that's a whole huge discussion that is a vain attempt to find some objective meaning which does not exist, which cannot exist without religion. And it's also a misinterpretation and false conclusion of the whole situation. Just because there is no inherent meaning, it doesn't mean that you just have to throw your life away and throw earth and morality and everything away. You can simply, I'm sorry, I'm clicking the pen here.
No.
But you can make life better, and that's what humans have unknowingly done forever.
And it's so annoying when they're like, "Oh, you just made it up," and I'm like, "Well, I'm making it up myself, but like yours is made up by someone else."
Yeah.
So at least I can pick. I get to. Habibi. Wait.
Yeah.
Some funny comments. Wait. Oh shoot! Where did it go? It was so good. Because someone. Oh, here it is, guys. Matthew found the meaning of life. Guys, are you ready? Are you ready?
Yes.
It's to subscribe.
It's in your hikmah and dharma.
100% hikmah. You will have zero absence of hikmah if you subscribe. Okay, you gotta subscribe to Atheist Republic. You gotta subscribe to Apostate Prophet. Okay, and even be proactive about it. Go subscribe to his Turkish channel too. Okay, you don't even have to speak Turkish. Just do it.
Yeah.
And it's also your dharma. Not only do you have to subscribe, you have to go and you have to click the little bell, and then you have to go up and you have to hit all, so get those notifications, so you know when we go live and we're doing events like this right here, because Armin or myself usually go live like twice a day, and we talk about all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so
That's true,
guys.
That's true.
We figured it out for you. All your answers are right here on this channel.
Yep. That is true. That is true.
And Hussein is mad because the other Hussein is giving his people a bad name.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry, Rahman. We only say "Ya Hussein" to you, okay?
The meaning of life is to be.
Aw, thank you, Afshin. You're a sweetheart. What do you... Oh, here's a good question. And I'll relate it to something else. So when I took existentialism in college, I was like fully
on... Existentialism? So go ahead.
Yeah, I did. I hated Heidegger the most. I was like, Heidegger, what the hell are you on? Anyway, and Kierkegaard. Oh, just shoot me. Okay.
So misplaced, that guy. I don't know.
Anyway, so I was taking existentialism and I was like thinking about nihilism and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm on board. Like, it makes sense. You're right. Like, you're right. But then Nietzsche talks about like these ways that we make up meaning are like warm cloaks that we put on ourselves to like comfort ourselves, right? And based on where I was going to school, I was like, like I'll just, and also because coming out, I think this is very common for people coming out of like Abrahamic faiths where they get really interested in New Age spirituality, because at least for my upbringing, like that is forbidden. Like that's a no-go. That's not okay. Like that is like, that's wrong. Like that is sinful. Like and just even being curious about it, like that's just not okay. So of course it was attractive to me because it's taboo, right? So then I like kind of went down a little bit of a New Age spirituality path for a minute. Like I was very deep into astrology. I still know a lot about astrology, like crystals, vibrations, like that whole thing. And even though I knew that it was complete BS the whole time. I was like, well, I might as well like enjoy something, I guess. But the thing is, if you know it's a placebo, it doesn't really work so well. And me, again, being very, very well versed in psychology, I know that everything that's happening through New Age spirituality, homeopathy, all that stuff is just a placebo.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go in with that knowledge, it's like not quite as effective. You don't quite get the same warm feeling inside that you're in control of things, because you're not in control of things.
Yeah.
What do you think of like New Age hippie spiritualism? I think it's incredibly dangerous, actually.
It is. It is just a bunch of weird modern superstition that leads into that is mostly just based on. I often see that it is supported with these whole pseudoscientific approaches. These. When I say pseudoscientific, I'm not saying that it is just contrary to science, but it is actively trying to be science. While it is absolutely not anything, not in any way proper, real, good science. And I don't know. It is. I would say it's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of weird stuff. A weird modern attempt to live by something. But I also can't blame people for doing that. I actually recently recorded a video about why people feel the need to worship, but I never published the video. I don't know why. Because I was thinking very lengthily about why people feel this need to worship, and why people pray, and why they feel good after praying, why they feel this need to let something out, to meditate, and all that. And I realize it is just all a human need for, to turn off and to let go of thinking about themselves and their duties and this and that, and just to focus on something else outside and beyond yourself, and it just makes you feel better. People feel the need for that, and that's why people tend to worship. That's why people like to worship, and why they like to pray, and why they like to bend down and go on their knees and do all these things. And this whole modern New Age spirituality stuff is probably all just a part of that, and therefore I cannot blame people for going such ways. But it's just nonsense to me. What can I say?
There's another really interesting comment I want to highlight. Matthew saying, I was raised in a Christian and a Native American family. Native American religion can be very hard on your mental estate. Matthew,
I would imagine.
love to talk about this, because especially in for lack of a better term, like woke circles, you are not allowed to criticize like indigenous faiths, because it would be seen as replicating systems of violence, oppression, and colonization upon those people who are already, been victimized, genocided by those things, right? So you're just not supposed to touch it. But it's undoubtedly true that there are likely a lot of extremely harmful practices and beliefs within those belief systems. There's a video that you think that we should watch or highlight, do a stream on this channel about these things that you think are bad on people's mental health or just bad for people in general. Go to our Discord. We have a Discord in the description, and we have a video recommendations channel. So please give us more information on this, because I think that would be extremely interesting. That's definitely something we haven't covered yet. It's a hole in our narrative. I want to talk about that, because in certain lefty, kind of circles, not all, that's kind of an untouchable thing. But we need to talk about it. We don't have any red lines here. Well, we do have red lines, but we like to challenge people's red lines here on this channel. So yes, please give me more information in the Discord below.
The only thing that I was interested in about Native American religion was the use of peyote, or whatever it's called, a drug. And
yeah, that's I could be completely wrong. I think that's more of a southwestern.
Yeah, I don't know.
Thing, because that's where the cactus actually grows.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
You know, we were talking about repressing yourself and denying yourself things, and about apathy earlier. And I kind of grew up in a Sufi Muslim family, and I was also part of Sufism myself for a while. And Sufism is very big about stuff like self-discipline, about repenting all the time and humiliating yourself and denying your importance and your existence, and just only focusing on Allah, who is the only essence of being, and all that stuff. And it is actually very sick. It feels very romantic when you're inside of it, and when you look at it as an outsider. In an appreciative way, it looks very romantic. It's kind of this sweet way of living where you just want to be humble, and you want to be peaceful, and you want to recognize that Allah is all there is, and you are nothing, you are nothingness, and all that. But it's also very sick. I feel like it messed me up in a way. I learned to blame myself, to live with guilt, to deny myself so many things, to feel so guilty about being me, to just deny that I matter even a bit, and all that. It's just so messed up.
Like kind of ego death, basically.
Yeah. It has this thing like it almost has this Buddhist approach to life, where you are aiming for the annihilation of your own ego, and only recognizing Allah as the only thing that exists. And it's just weird.
I became interested in Islam like when I was kind of on my own like faith exploration, right? And but the only thing that is, I think this is kind of typical for Westerners. I think a lot of them are attracted to more of the mysticism of Sufism. I think it's a bit. At first it comes across as softer, more personal. But I know that, I mean, at least your background, the Sufism actually gets kind of violent.
It is terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible, dumb. And
covers like again, Habibi.
It is also a very dumb misinterpretation of Islamic theology. So, to be honest, it makes no sense. It is so stupid. It is so much in contradiction with the Quran. It introduces completely new, dumb things. It denies the whole notion that Allah is above His creation, that He's on a throne, that things are physical. It just has this completely almost pantheistic approach to theology, and to the nature of existence. It's complete garbage. At the same time, it represses yourself, and teaches you to humiliate yourself, and to be just miserable and guilty. And at the same time, it is no different in teaching hate and violence toward others. So there is this attempt sometimes, or this misunderstanding, to paint Sufism as this peaceful alternative, but it's not a peaceful alternative. It is not only more oppressive toward yourself, it is also just as hateful as regular Sunni Islam.
Yeah. When you were speaking of humiliations, like, do they do actual more? Is it more just kind of like a mentality, more self-humiliating thing, or an actual ritualistic?
There are some Sufi sects, some Sufi orders that do some very messed up stuff, like gathering and chanting and stabbing themselves, and putting stuff through their body and through their tongues and stuff like that. But those are exceptions. Those are only very few. Most of them don't do physical things. They just do excessive mental self. Whatever you want to call it. They just oppress themselves mentally very much.
Just like denial.
Yeah.
This is why I joke with Armin that the Shias and the Catholics are actually quite similar. They like to cry a lot and hurt themselves. But we got a super chat, and we got 250.
Stefan Miljevic, hey.
Look this up. This is a Serbian dinar. I'd never seen this currency before, but thank you for the super chat.
Stefan is always on my live streams. He's a very nice guy.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming over here, Stefan. Question for AP. How do you even fight Muslim apologists when they announce that they won even before the debate starts? What is the point in debate? Well, I won't. Yeah, go ahead, my prophet.
And that is the entire reason why at the beginnings I said I don't want to debate Muslim apologists, because there is really no point to it. All I wanted to do was just to make public videos to try and inform people and not interact with those Muslim apologists, because they are not interested in exchanging thoughts, in testing each other's knowledge. What they are interested in is to simply scream, "I am right, we are right, we have defeated you, we have destroyed you and humiliated you." And they play tricks in order to do that. Mohammed Hijab himself admitted to me that I shouldn't have trusted him, that since we are opponents, it was normal for him to deceive me and to lie to me. That this is he himself admitted that to me. He said, "You shouldn't have trusted me, I'm your opponent," after publicly deceiving me and lying to me. So
it's just like crazy that he thinks that that's not the right way to put it. His record of being deceitful, it's public knowledge.
I know.
What he did to Cosmic Skeptic, like, that's for everyone to see and understand.
He takes pride in that.
I completely understand that he has a following. They're going to be on board with him. They're probably going to justify his actions as and maybe that's not fair. I'm not going to try to guess someone's motivations or hop in their brain, but I could see someone rationalizing it as being like, this is what it takes to win.
Yep.
Like
it is also Islamic. It is Islamic. It is he bases that idea on Muhammad's words and on the words of Islamic scholars and the approaches of Islamic scholars. What he sees is that we are in a in a war. So he said basically to me that he also said to me that we are that I am one of the I am waging an intellectual battle or an intellectual war against Islam, and I am one of the refuters of Islam, and it is his duty to to hate me. He said that to me, that he has to hate me, that he hates me, and as part of that, it is completely natural for him to deceive me whenever he can, which is why I shouldn't have trusted him, which is why I should approach him with documents and agreements. And he also bases his whole attitude on the fact that Muhammad said war is deception, and that Muhammad himself allowed his people to lie in order to achieve their goals against the enemies of Islam. So in this case, I am an enemy of Islam. Yeah, in this case, I am an enemy of Islam, and he is allowed to and supposed to be dirty with me and also dishonest with me and deceive me in order to further Islam. What he does is socially wrong, but according to his religion, right. And he does that publicly, and no one even calls him out on that, because his own followers agree with him.
Yeah. I know that like taqiyya is different than the example you just gave. But one thing we've been talking about on the channel recently is how like most Muslims don't even know what taqiyya is, like, until they leave Islam. Like, did you know what taqiyya was, like, before, while you were still a believer?
I didn't learn a concept called taqiyya. What I did was I learned that there was something known as taqiyya, or that there was this thing as part of Islam or as part of Muslim history and the companions of Muhammad. That's what I knew taqiyya was, and that it was just simply a means for the companions of Muhammad to protect their lives when they were oppressed, and to pretend that they are not Muslims, or to make false statements and false pretenses in order to protect their own lives. So I learned that was allowed, but I never learned in depth about the whole concept of taqiyya. And most Muslims don't really learn about that. So there is no big agenda going on where Muslims are actively taught to lie as a concept of taqiyya and to deceive the people. That is kind of I would say an ignorant perspective, an ignorant approach to Islam. That's not really the truth.
Wait.
What is true is that Muslims are allowed to lie to a certain extent.
Look at what a sweetheart he is. Stefan gave us another super chat. Thank you, Stefan, saying, I need to sleep, but I want to wish AP health to his family and his wife. Thank you for existing. You opened many eyes, and huge heart to Atheist Republic.
Thank you so much.
Oh, this is so sweet. Thank you, Stefan. And you should.
Thank you so much.
Okay. You have to sleep. You have to take care of yourself, because we need people to take care of themselves so they can be better at spreading corruption in the land. Okay,
It's, yeah, exactly.
that's actually the real meaning of life.
Exactly. No, thank you, Stefan. I appreciate it very much. I think it's even like 4 a.m. right now in Serbia. So,
God, no.
but
Go take care of yourself.
but thank you so much, Stefan. I appreciate it very much. Really, thank you, thank you. I'll see you soon, hopefully, in a in a meetup, a chat, something like that.
It's so sweet to see like people send so much love to you.
I appreciate it very much. It makes me feel much better about everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah. It's really hard, like, or I don't know how to put it. Like, I feel like people don't really understand like how much even small messages of encouragement can like really make a difference when you do the type of work that we do.
Yeah.
You're on a whole different scale than me, right? Just in terms of like reach of your audience, like, or just being more well known. You've been like doing it longer than me, for example. But even the smallest little messages of encouragement mean so much, because it can be so, like we don't talk about it much, but it does take a toll.
It does.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring up Nietzsche again, but I have to. There's this Nietzsche quote that I recently encountered again after many years, which I thought about. I even want to make a video about that. But there's this Nietzsche quote where he once said, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you." And I don't know. I was at a time where I was dealing a lot with these Muslim apologists who are being very dirty and very, 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 very terrible in their approach and in the way they defend their religion. And I realized how dealing more with that every day, I was just getting like desensitized to this whole terrible behavior toward each other, and I was kind of increasingly responding to them the way they act toward me, and I was normalizing that. And then I encountered this quote again during that time, and it started. I started shivering just reading that, and I thought, man, I really needed that right now to just realize what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm doing because I believe that this is something right, that I want to do this because I believe in it, and I receive a lot of hate for it. What?
You enjoy it, like.
I enjoy it.
You make you have a fun making your videos. Like, you can tell just like through the amount of care and attention and detail that you put the jokes you put in there, like you have fun.
I'm not going to go out and claim that I'm this big, huge savior of the world, and that I'm doing this, that I'm having this big altruistic.
You don't have to. I will.
That I have this exclusively altruistic purpose, that I just want to selflessly save everybody and make society better. I'm not going to go ahead and claim that stuff. No, I like what I'm doing because I feel like, hey, I want to do this. I feel deeply about this. I feel passionate about this. I enjoy doing this. I get a kick out of it. And I also feel like it is good. It is something good to do. So I'm doing it. And it gets hard sometimes because the reactions can be terrible, but I guess it's just part of it. And
yeah, it's crazy. Like, what's interesting? My grandpa recently asked me, he's like, because like they have a very specific understanding of a lot of these issues. They think of Salman Rushdie, they think of Aylan Hirsi Ali, and they're like, Susanna, do you have a fatwa on your head yet? No. Like, that's what's so interesting is I've never been threatened by a Muslim once. Never.
Yeah.
And that Quran down there, right down there, it's seen some things. No, like I never. I've only ever been threatened by Hindus.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You had a big thing going on there.
And so when I told my grandpa that, he's like, "What?" I thought they were like tolerant, and I'm like, well, okay, now I have to explain like Hindutva to you. I gotta explain what's going on with Modi.
That's a whole different story, a long story.
Yeah, so I mean, I can kind of relate, but not because I've been going through that with Muslim apologists, but just because of what the Hindu book community is like since September has been like the craziest thing, one of the craziest things I've ever gone through. Like,
and that is messed up. How I don't know how people in that circle to become extremely I don't know, tribalistic, violent, intolerant, inhuman in their response to some very basic, mockery. It's really awful to witness that. Seriously, and I have been even mocked, threatened, insulted, accused in such terrible ways by those people simply because I said that their behavior is wrong and that Armin has every right to do this stuff and you too. Simply for that, I didn't even do anything. I didn't even agree with your approach. I just said they have a right to do that, and I already did become a target because of that. So it's really.
And it's so much worse to the people in India. Like, there were people in India who had to go back, like, completely unlike everything they ever interacted with us. Like, because they simply said, like, hey, guys, like, maybe you guys making, like, pornography out of people's dead family members or, like, children in their family, like, or, like, people, like, just because they did something, and just saying the most vile things in the world. Like, maybe that's not a good look. Like, again, they didn't even like what Armin did or what I did. Like, they didn't agree with it. They just said, maybe they didn't even say that they have a right to do it. They maybe just said, hey, you guys are being really extreme about this. And then they went after their families in turn. Yeah. Like, yeah.
You know why that is? It's because of the lack of hikmah.
Look at it. Someone in the live chat right
now. Oh my god. Tippy Bear. Hey, Tippy Bear. Wow. Nice. Same thought.
Oh my gosh. Right on cue. That's perfect. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I'm pretty lucky. I managed to build up a thick skin, like, exceedingly fast for someone who has a history of social anxiety. That, let me tell you, AP, like, doing this has, like, killed that part of me. Like, it, like, killed any part of me that was an offense junkie. Like, that's gone. Like, any part of me that has to deal with, like, social anxiety, like, that's gone. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh.
I feel like at some point it turned me into this guy who just now enjoys humor about the darkest, deepest, most terrible things, and who just talks about the most terrible things in life as if they were completely normal. But I guess that's just part of it. I don't know. I have become better.
Yeah. Suhas, it makes me so mad that you can't see the emotes in here.
Yeah. It's
like, I heard it's perfectly in Armin's voice, and then the Armin emoji. It's so good. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay, I should be going.
Yes, I know you have babies.
Yeah.
You have a lovely wife who.
Yep, I do.
Give cuddles to.
So. I will. I do.
Thank you for joining us, AP. Well, I should say me.
I know. Armin is probably going to be mad, but hey,
be so mad. He sent me a message about an hour and a half ago that he lost connection. Which it's good that I'm here and I have control of the StreamYard, so I can actually take us off, because otherwise you'd just be stuck here. He's gonna be so mad that I took all this time.
I would love to come back for Armin again, definitely.
Yeah, because every time he's on your channel, he's like, I just want to hang out with AP. Like, honestly, like, I'm just looking for an excuse to, like, just hang out with him.
I love talking to Armin. It's fun.
Yeah, he's my favorite person.
Yeah. This time I have to stay here with you and talk to you, unfortunately. But normally I love hanging out with Armin. Just kidding.
I'm so sorry.
No, you are also very much fun to talk to, Susanna.
Oh, thank you. I'm just a person. And we're all just in a society. No.
Yeah, we live in a society. Okay, I'm gonna leave.
Everyone, once again, we've told you before the meaning of life. How to get hikmah, and your Dharma. It's to subscribe, okay? And then you have to go and you have to wait, where am I? This way. Yes, you have to go subscribe to this guy's channel too. Okay.
Yeah.
He's a big deal, okay? You gotta do it. But
Not really, but yeah.
And go to sleep, okay?
Okay.
In Europe, go to sleep.
Yeah. Also, the meaning of life is also to stay away from Islam.
Yes. I need to get one of your mugs. I'll do that.
You should. You need to. I will send one to you. Yeah.
Okay, and I will send you the drawing of you that I did inside my Quran.
Oh.
But I think that's a fair exchange.
Okay. Yeah, it is.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks.